Masechta Shabbos, Amrav Chanin Barav Amarav, Mavui Shenifratz Mitzido. You have a mavui, you have the alley, and one of the side walls has been opened up. Now, if the eser, if it's 10 amas or more, you would not be able to carry the mavui. Meirosho, at the front end of the mavui, there's a smaller amount that would passel the mavui. It's ba'arba tfachim. Ma'ishna mitzido be'eser. Why is it different from the side that it requires an opening of 10? The Omar, because up until 10 you can say pischahi. It's a door, for example, that's a doorway or an opening that's leading into a chutzner. So meroshanami. So then what's the difference? Even if the opening here is sort of at the opening end of the mavui, name a pischahu. Why don't we call that a pesach? Why should be a difference? Amar Avuna Ber Rav Yeshua Kagon Shenifratz B'Keren Zavis, because it was a corner of the mavui that opened up. So therefore, it doesn't look like a pesach. It looks maybe like a shortcut for the Rishus HaRabim people to walk through. The pischa B'Keren Zavis Lavi Inchi. People don't make openings like that in the corner of a mavui on the way in. It would not be called a pesach. However, Ravuna Omar Echad Zev Barba. The opening to passel a mavui, whether it's in the middle of the mavui or in the front of the mavui, it's always arba tvach. V'chein Amar le Ravuna Rav Chanan bar Rava lo tifla galoi. Don't argue with me. The Rav Ikla l'demacharye v'avadu d'kavasei. He in his town also paskin like me. Amar lei. That's no proof. Rav Bikamotza. Rav found that the people of his town were very lax in these kind of halachas, so therefore gutter b'gutter. He had to make a special stringency, but not that everywhere else the halacha would follow that. This opinion of Rav Huna of Arba makes more sense to Itmar. Mavui okum. You have instead of the mavui going straight through on one side Rishus HaRabim, the other side Rishus HaRabim, you have a Rishus HaRabim on this side, Rishus HaRabim on this side, and the mavui is like a right angle mavui that opens it into both Rishus HaRabims. Rav Amar Teroso K'mafulish. Rav says it's like a through and through mavui, the same like a regular mavui. Shmuel Amar no Teroso Kisosu. We treat it as if it's closed, like it's a mavui, and therefore how you correct such a mavui is different between Rav and Shmuel. Now, what are we talking about? If where the opening going into this mavui is greater than eser, are you going to tell me that Shmuel will hold that even such a mavui is called sasum? It must be the opening is eser amos or less. Even so, Ko'amarav Teirasum are foolish. The din of this mavui is like a through and through mavui. Alma, Pirtzis mavui mitzido barba. The maximum opening to a mavui can only be arbit fachim. So how does Rav Chanan bar Rava answer? Shani hasam the boki bo rabim. Since there's just a rabim pushing into this mavui, that's why thereby the mavui okum has a different din. Bichlad Ravuna sover afal gav deloy boki bo rabim. What Ravuna holds that it goes up to arbit fachim only, even when Rabbim are not pushing in. Ma'ishtam Ami Ravasi who allowed greater than arbit fachim. So it depends. Hasam the Ike Gedude. Gedude are like little mounds that come up from the ground that would prevent people or masses of people walking through there. There would be no mass transit of people through this mavui, and therefore you could have up to 10 amas. Where they were more stringent, allowing only arbet fachim, was the leke gedudi, where it was flat, and people would easily walk into that mavui. Torah. Ketzad Marvin Derek Rishus HaRabim. Let's say you have Wilshire Boulevard or Olympic Boulevard, let's say everybody agrees that that's a Rishus Harabim, and you have a house on one side of it, the house on the other side of it. How do you make an Eruv? Can you make an Eruv in such a situation? So, Oisitzer a Pesach Mikan. One side of it, you make a door frame. Now, again, a door frame doesn't have to be a wood beam on top of it. It could be like when we make an Eruv. You have a wooden beam, and a string. You make a form of a format of a door frame. And lechi v'kor mikan, you need a lechi and a kor on the other side, and then you can carry in between the two houses. Chananya oimer ve'shamay oimrim oisa delas mikan v'delas mikan. You actually need to build a door. Ukshu yotze v'nichnas, and you have to know it. You have to actually lock it. You have to close the door. Beis Hillel oimrim oisa delas mikan v'lechi v'kor mikan. Beis Hillel says yes. You need a door on one side. On the other side, you only need a lechi and a kor. In one of the towns in New York, once a year, this was many years ago. Today there are different shitas and eruv, but there was a time where I don't remember the name of the street. It might have been in Lawrence or 13th. One of those streets. One night a year, they would actually close off the street. They would have like a door that would swing. Normally would be open, and once a year they would actually close that door for an hour or so. And
I think it was Paris. No, did Paris they do that or no?
No, you're thinking about the shear that Rabbi Reva
right, yeah.
On Eruv. This was I remember there was a town in New York where they would do such. And today we don't do that because we have different shitas in terms of how we're ma'arev a big city. But it relates to this issue of delas and whether the delas needs to be closed or not. So they were being machmir, to try to cover as many shitas as they could. Freit the Gemara, Rishus Rabbi Mima Arva. Can you lechatchila make an eruv of a Rishus Rabbi? The Gemara is going to show that there are shitas that say that it's impossible to make a eruv in a Rishus Rabbi. Batanya. Yasra Kenam Rav Yehuda. Mi shahaylo shnei batim shnei tzid Rishus Rabim. Let's say somebody had on Olympic Boulevard, there was a house on one side of the street and a house on the other side of the street. And he wants to carry across the street. So osa lechi mikan v'lechi mikan. All he has to do is a lechi on one side, a lechi on the other side. O kor mikan v'kor mikan, or a cross beam on top on one side and the other side. V'nosa v'nosa b'emtza. And then you can carry from one house to the other across the Olympic Boulevard. Amrulo, so Chachamim said to him, "Ein marvin b'shus harabim b'kach." You can't make an eruv that way. That doesn't mean you can't make bichlal an eruv. Maybe that way, only with a lechi and a korah, you can't. But ha bedaltos marva. But maybe if you actually put doors in place, you could make an eruv. But the Gemara says no. Yerushalayim. If it wasn't for the fact that the gates of Yerushalayim are closed at night, and you carry there, so Rashi says Yerushalayim is Rishus Harabim Shalom Mechavin Mishar Lashar. Rishus Harabim goes from one gate to another, foolish, and it's through and through. V'yesh bodrisas shishim ribo. There were 600,000 people walking there, and Rochav Sheshes Re'ama. And was 16 amas wide. So therefore, it had a classic status of Rishus Harabim, says Rashi. If it wasn't for the fact that they closed the doors every night, be for carrying there. So closing doors, much like a chatzar shel Rabbi, you make a chatzar, ma'arvin is kulan, you can make an eruv. But the kozman shelo irvu. But if you did not make an eruv, havi karmelis, but you would not be chayiv Shabbos. That be chayv chatas. Vamer Ula, Hani Abuli de Mechuza, these mavuis of Mechuza that were mavuis mafulish opening up in Rishus Rabim, Ilmali Blosen in Olois, if it wasn't for the fact that these doors are closed every night, so even just placing doors but not closing them is not enough. The Shiloh wasn't Ketzad Ma'arvin Rishus Rabim. The Shiloh was Ketzad Ma'arvin Mavus Hamafuloshin Rishus Rabim. How do you make an Eruv with an alleyway that goes into Rishus Rabim? Also, Tzursa Pesach Mikan, V'Lechid Kor Mikan. On one side of it, you make it Tzursa Pesach, the other side, you make a Lechid Kor. Most of the, Itmar. Rav Amar Hilchasa Ketana Kama. That it's enough with a Tzursa Pesach and a Lechi to allow you to carry an Amavim Mefulish. Ushmuel Amar Halacha Kechananya. Shmuel required a deles like Chananya. Iboilu. L'Chananya leave it to Beis Hillel. Now, according to Chananya, tzarich lino or ain't tzarich lino. Fine. You create a door, but you have to close the door or not. Toshma, Dami Ramar Shmuel, ain't no tzarich lino. Shmuel says you don't have to close it. As long as you have the door in place, the door doesn't have to be closed. L'chein Amar Rav Masna Amar Shmuel, ain't no tzarich lino. But Ikedi Amri, Amar Rav Masna, B'didi Avi Uvdav Amar Shmuel, ain't tzarich lino. He said you don't have to close it. Says the Shulchan Aruch, you have an open alleyway, even let's say Alta Vista, which travel, let's say through Beverly and 3rd Street. Let's say Me'ikar Adin, Alta Vista then would have a din of a Mavui Matholish, because it opens up on either side of it to a Rishus Rabbi. Or the Carmelis, or let's say they open up to a Carmelis. Also, Tzuras Pesach mitzad echad v'lechi akor mitzad sheni u'motorim betiltul shalacha karav le'yin nisr v'heter. Halacha is like Rav, not like Shmuel. And a lechi or korah on one side and a Tzuras Pesach on the other side will be sufficient to correct a mavim or foolish. But a full-fledged Rishus Rabim that you're trying to correct with an Eruv, there you have to actually close the daltois, says the Shulchan Aruch. That's according to Rav Yochanan, which we quoted above. So again, that may be why, according to some shitas, you have to do that door closing. Boy, my name Rav Anan. Tzarich linol or ain't tzarich linol? Do you have to close the door that you built into the side there, or do you not have to close it? Amar lahu, tochazi golo kani abuli dinardo. The mavuas of Narda, the time in Pagayu Ba'afa, the over time, dirt and sand would build up so that the bottoms of the doors were sort of covered and stuck in dirt. And so therefore couldn't be closed. The ayil, the nafik mar Shmuel. And Shmuel walked in those mavuos and didn't say a thing. Obviously, he didn't have to close the doors. Honor of Ghana, Hanach Magufas Havi. These were not completely open. They were not completely closed. It was like at 45-degree angle. So the doors were partially closed. And that's why he was able to walk that way. Kiyos Rav Nachman Amar, Panula Frayu. Rav Nachman said, get rid of the dirt so that you could physically close the door. So are you telling me that Rav Nachman holds that you have to physically close the door? No. That means as long as you got the dirt away and you could physically close the door, even though you don't close the door, if you have the potential to close it, then it'll work. There was one of these right-angle mavuis, the Havi ben Ardo that was an Ardo. Rami Alei, Chumra de Rav, Chumra de Shmuel. They gave it the chumras of both, Rav and Shmuel. And they required doors. Chumra de Rav, the Amar Taraso Kamafulish. They made it like Rav, who said that a bent mavui has to be treated like a through and through mavui. They didn't need a door. So Kishmuel the Amar Halacha Kechananya that you don't just a lechi and a koira on one side and a tzursa pesach on the other side was enough. I've Amar Shmuel Taraso Kasasum that maybe you only need a lechi and a koira on either side. So we need the stringency of Rav as well. The Amar Taraso Kamafulish. So the stringencies of both Rav and Shmuel were used to correct such a mavui. Freik the Gemara. Umi avdidan ketrei chumri. Where do we see that when you have a machlokes in halacha, that we do the chumras of both people? V'hatanya. In the famous debate between Beis Hillel and Beis Shammai, lo'olam halacha keBeis Hillel. The halacha is always like Beis Hillel. V'harod selasos k'divrei Beis Shammai oiseh, and k'divrei Beis Hillel oiseh. However, people want to be machmer them on themselves and do like Beis Shammai, they can do it. Those who want to follow Beis Hillel can do it. However, what they can't do is the following. Mikula Beis Shammai, Mikula Beis Hillel, Russia. You can't pick and choose only the leniencies of Beis Shammai and the leniencies of Beis Hillel, then you're in Russia. Now, if you do the chumras of both, Chumra Beis Shammai, Chumra Beis Hillel, you're a fool. The fool walks around in the darkness. We're not meant to be machmir on everything. Ella, you have to be consistent. Ike Beis Shammai, if you're going to follow Beis Shammai, kekulei and kechumra sayin, you have to follow their chumras and their kulas. And if you hold Beis Hillel, kekulei and kechumra sayin, and if you follow Beis Hillel, you have to follow their kulas and their chumras. You can't pick and choose from either side. Now, the Gemara notes that this price you just quoted is internally contradictory. Hagufa kasha. You started off by saying Ahmed Loylam Halacha Beis Hillel, which seems to imply that you have to follow Beis Hillel. The Hodar Amra, that immediately it said, Harod Salasos Kediver Beis Shammai Osa. What do you mean? If halacha is like Beis Hillel, what do you mean whoever wants to do like Beis Shammai can do? If you paskin halacha is like him, that we have to paskin like Beis Hillel. So Loy Kasha Kan Koidem Baskol, Kan La'achar Baskol. Eventually, in the debate between Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel, a Baskol came out to say, a heavenly voice came out to say that the halacha is like Beis Hillel. So prior to the Baskol coming out, you could choose. Whoever wanted to do like Beis Shammai could do like Beis Shammai. Why do I do Beis Shammai?
But we don't follow Baskols. Where do you paskin halachas from Baskol?
So, and once the Baskol came out, then you couldn't. So Walter asks a good question. A mashgichin bebaskol. We have the famous Toner Achnoi.
Yeah, right.
Where Rabbi Eliezer and Rabbi Yoshua and Rabbi Eliezer said, "Let the walls come in," and the walls came in, and Rabbi Yoshua said, "Lo b'shamayim, we don't paskin like a baskol."
Paskin like that, right?
Okay, but
so, how come we follow it over here? It's Pele. Must be something on this.
Yeah, later on, the Gemara is going to give us other reasons why they paskin like Beis Hillel, that they were more noyach habrias. But the kasha that you asked, because we'll see ein mashgichin bebaskol, so that we're not through here. That's why it says v'boy same hava la'achar baskol. Both cases are after the baskol, and we'll see how the sugya develops tomorrow. Now tomorrow night we will learn at 9:00. Tomorrow night we'll learn at 9:00. Now.